Hey everyone, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John, and fall is in the air. Not just Halloween, but fall in general. It's such a wonderful time. In fact, it's my favorite time of the year. Music obviously goes hand in hand with the season, so today I'm going to be talking about 7 albums that I truly feel suit the season, whether it be Halloween or just fall itself. If you missed the first episode that I did of this, then you can tap this card that's on screen right now to check out albums by the Beatles, Brand New, and many more. There will also be a link at the end of the video if you want to see part 1, but this one today isn't just going to be fall albums. It's going to be a little bit more suited to both fall and Halloween, and albums that I feel could be listened to throughout the entire season, even if they talk about Halloween-y type things. I just realized the ridiculousness of saying Halloween-y out loud, so we're going to push on past that and move right into the video. I do hope that you enjoy it. Check out the full playlist linked in the description down below. Drop a like on this video if you do enjoy it, and subscribe if you're new in town.
You better bend before I go on the first train, New Mexico.
The first fall album recommendation I have is an album called Morning View by the rock band INCUBUS. I often feel like this group gets a bit overlooked, and Morning View is one of those albums that for me is kind of comforting when you listen to it in the season of fall. It's an album that has a lot of rhetoric, a lot of rapport that it builds with its listener because there is kind of an emotional side there, something that shows off the lead singer's vulnerability, but it also has a strength at the core of some of the tracks, like Wish You Were Here, even though it's kind of imploring the listener to emote and to kind of feel what he's feeling. It often has such a strong backing section with the band, and that's a theme that just keeps going, whether it be Circles or Mexico, which is truly one of the best riffs and one of the best songs on the entire LP. It's an album that just demands your attention, and I feel like fall is truly a season where this album works because it personifies and brings out some of the elements in the mix, whether it be the DJing or the bass or just the guitars that kind of work their way into the front of your mind. It's an album that creeps up this time of the year, and I don't really need another excuse to listen to it. It's a great record for any season, but for fall in particular.
I tried running away to rid myself of the shame, and did with nothing but holes in my chains. Hang me in the closet with the rest of your outgrown things.
Both Pensive and Angry, Movements delivered something special on their debut EP, Outgrown Things. This has 6 songs on it, and it actually comes in at number 6, ironically enough. It's a record that does have so much pent-up anger, and there's a lot of release on this album. And the reason why I feel like it suits this time of the year is because I feel like summer is normally associated with good times, and fall, you get back into the routine of doing things, and sometimes you reflect on your own life, and I feel like that's exactly what Movements did on this little EP. It might be kind of short, but the songs that are here do not waste any time getting straight to the point. Kept, the opening song, is so fierce and has the lead singer just roaring to life behind those guitars that are so chaotic and so loud. You've got other amazing songs like Hatchet and also Worst Wishes, which is truly a phenomenal cut that shows off so much of the range in the singer's voice. They're a band that truly has so much potential, and I really feel like they've been capitalizing on it up until this point in their career.
You seem so out of context in this gaudy apartment complex. A stranger with your door key, explaining that I'm just visiting.
An old friend, but a good, trustworthy, reliable friend comes to visit us in the form of my number 5 selection, Give Up, by indie duo The Postal Service. Ben Gibbard of Death Cab for Cutie is the frontrunner of this band, and they only released one album. They did do a reunion tour for the 10th anniversary in 2013, but this of course was originally out in 2003 on Sub Pop Recordings. This is an album that I discovered in 2006. They actually used the song Such Great Heights in a Fuse commercial for their overnight break that they would play like music videos and different indie stuff, and I was hooked because that minimalism and that just synth drip that really just kept going, and I didn't know exactly what was going on, but once I checked out the full song, I was in love, and still to this day, it remains probably one of my top 100 favorite songs of all time. There's obviously the classics like Such Great Heights and The District Sleeps Alone Tonight, but there's so many deep cuts here that I feel often go overlooked. It's a cold album that feels like you've left the door open at the start of fall, and it's not overbearing, but you're like, wow, it's kinda chilly. And you start to slip into your own thoughts, and you start to sink into the feeling of the album. And that's exactly what Give Up is. It's depressing, but also comforting. So it's an odd release, but one that I feel is perfect for the changing of the seasons, for fall into winter even. If you've been missing the punk side of AFI, take a step back in time and listen to the 1999 EP, which is of course perfect for Halloween and fall in general, All Hallows. This short EP features the Halloween cover, originally by Glenn Danzig of The Misfits, of course. He wrote the song, and AFI, Davey Havok, Jade Pugic, and company actually cover it here, do it complete justice. And the songs that are featured here, the 4 tracks, all have something so big and just so compelling to them. Obviously, at this point in their career, they were just on the cusp of releasing The Art of Drowning, and then they broke through to the mainstream with Sing the Sorrow, which I also considered for this list. Please consider listening to that one for your fall playlist too. It's a great release, but I decided on All Hallows, obviously given the title, the association with the holiday, and the fact that just look at the album art there. Pumpkins and scarecrows. How much more fall can you get? Total Immortal, the closing song here, is such a badass tune. It's one that comes with the highest recommendations from me, but there's really not a bad song that you could go wrong with by checking out on the entire little project, whether it be The Boy Who Destroyed the World or Fall Children. It's all just great, so go ahead and give it a spin.
Said, what do I know? Show me the right way to go. And the spice came out of the water. And you're feeling so bad 'cause you're wrong.
My number 3 position today goes to Coldplay, a band that a lot of people love to hate, and they love to hate on the fact that they were inspired by bands like Radiohead, who I obviously also considered for the list, but I decided to give the slot today to their debut album Parachutes that came out in 2000. This is a record that means a lot to me. I find it very cold and chilling in a lot of ways, but there's also a lot of love at its core. There's so much going on underneath the textures of these songs, and I think a lot of people look at Coldplay and they see, oh, the ballads or the slow tracks, or they're just a piano rock band. But they've done so much in their career. They even have their documentary, A Head Full of Dreams, that's about to come out, and it's going to be a career retrospective. I think people are going to see just the impact that they had on music today. And I love this band and this album in particular. There's songs like Spies, which really deal in bass and other lyrical things that I think Coldplay were doing so well for their time and being so young. And then you've got changes of pace and speed like High Speed, and other tracks like Shiver, which is actually my favorite Coldplay song still to this day. Don't Panic is an emotive tune that was actually used in one of my favorite episodes of the TV show Rescue Me, and there's other songs like Trouble that you just want to shout along at the top of your lungs, and of course, Yellow.
On the American nightmare with American dreams of counting the bodies while you can't save the American nightmare. Yeah, I'm living the dream. I'm slashing my way through the golden age of the silver screen.
Ice Nine Kills are slashing their way up to the number 2 position with The Silver Scream, their brand new album that just came out in October of this year. It's a record that mixes together a brutal sensation, a mix of guitars, and also references to horror films, even incorporating sound bites from them, taking on perspectives of killers, of victims, of all sorts of cool things. So if you're a fan of A Nightmare on Elm Street, or even something a little bit more far-fetched like The Crow, this album is gonna do it for you, I'm telling you. It may be so heavy and hard-hitting and menacing that maybe on first listen, if you're not into super heavy music, it might not connect, but the heavy metal and the post-hardcore influences that work their way in and infiltrate pretty much every aspect of this record. There's so much to love, and the fact that the breakdowns and everything else, it has its purpose. It's one of those records that feels like you're watching the Joker at times from Batman, just sitting there singing these tracks with a wicked smile. The screams are just so ear-piercing at times in the best way, and also the clean vocals are so good. And the fact that all of these songs are referencing movies from It to Saw and everything in between, and there's a lot of special guests on the album as well. You cannot go wrong with listening to this album, The Silver Scream by Ice Nine Kills, a band that genuinely loves horror.
Sorrow, the unpredictable has found a hand at home. I've seen into the fall, coming home. Maelstrom, you are my only God.
With only one slot left to fill, I'm putting all of my money on As You Please by the rock band Citizen. This came out in the fall of 2017, and I was instantly blown away. The vibe and just the overall aura and presence of this LP is fascinating to me because it talks to you kind of on a spiritual level, but it also has the personality that would maybe remind you of a friend that's kind of distant but also really intelligent and smart. There's so many lyrics that jump off the page to me, and so many musical stylings that saw an evolution for a band that are so young but also so talented. Up to that point, I wouldn't say that I was hooked at all, but with As You Please, this has been one of my most listened to records of the past year. And with Fall and Swing once again, this is an LP that's definitely a comforting friend and comes with my highest of recommendations. This is an album that I cannot throw enough praise on because it has tracks like Discreet Routine, which are kind of skeletal, featuring pianos, and then you've also got the really catchy and anthemic Jet, and In the Middle of It All, and then you've got something like Flower Child, which has a lot of sweet sentiments on it, and the title track As You Please. I could just go on and talk about everything from Fever to World and so much more. This LP does not have a bad song on it, and I implore you to please listen to As You Please. Thanks a lot for tuning into my fall and Halloween album recommendation video. I hope you enjoyed that thumbnail because I enjoyed posing for it. Thank you again for leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you're new in town. If you would like to help me keep doing what I do on both of my channels, then please visit my Patreon linked at the top link in the description down below. Other than that, I got nothing else for you other than these links that are floating around that aren't gonna click themselves. There's an annotation that's gonna take you directly to my Patreon right here. You can see last week's episode right over here, or that other video, that other fall video that I was talking